allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'm not sure if anybody's online, but we'll do a quick roll call so that we can decide how we're voting going forward here. So, when you hear your name, please say here. Wendy.
Here.
Kristen. Is she online by any chance?
She is not coming.
She's not coming, okay. Okay, thank you. David G.
Here.
Amy.
Here.
Tyler.
Here.
Christine.
Here.
Leslie.
Here.
Patricia.
Here.
Rebecca.
Here.
John.
Here.
Brian.
Here.
David T.
Here.
Tom.
Here.
Claire, I believe, is absent today. And Ben.
Here.
Awesome. All right, back over to you guys.
All right, student representatives reports. You want to go ahead? Step right up. Don't be bashful.
All right, so I'm here on behalf of Senate, the high school. So we just have 5 committees and we have different things going on. We have Make a Difference Week going on this week, which Outreach wanted that put out there. So we're accepting food donations all week. We have themed days, things like that. Spirit, we're currently trying to figure out new pep rallies we can implement, and we just did the homecoming dance, so that was a pretty big success. Wellness is working on their boutique, ways to give back to the students, Black Bear cards. The student has been working on ways that we can honor Forrest Toby in our school because of his recent absence. And technology is just working on helping out everybody else. They're the backbone of Senate, basically. And that's all we really have for Senate. Anything else? And we are wishing the girls luck. The soccer girls luck today. But that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Emily. I'm an 8th grader at middle school. And I was listening to a couple teams, but the first team that I'm going to do is the Catan team. So on the Catan team, the theme for the trimester was survival, and the students have done different activities that involve knot tying and building the strongest ropes that they can with a plastic bag that they found. Then they would test the ropes with a Newton meter to find out how strong they were. Other projects that they have done is build water wheel powered fans that they have tested in science lab sinks, and they've also built containers that keep an egg safe even if they're thrown out on a window several stories up. In another class, students have been working on hunts for shelters and are currently working on water filters techniques.
On a KU team, students have been having fun in the STEM class by building cardboard boats. They have been learning on team about being human, including introverted, extroverted, ADHD, anxiousness, exploring courage. In ELA, they've been exploring what they value, as well as current events. On Moose team, they have been studying space mythology and the Cold War. They have been learning about the Berlin Wall, McCarthyism, and the Red Scar, lunar charts and tides, astronomy, astrology, and physics. They're building rockets and learning about the famous Mainers, Margaret Chase Smith and Samantha Smith. They've been focused on informational reading in their readers workshops and are selling Miracle Black Bear stickers at a team fundraiser.
On the World team, we've been learning about physics in Ms. Ryder's core class. One of the things that we've been doing in her class is presenting a slideshow that demonstrates an understanding of physics like the 3 Newton laws. We had to make definitions and record videos for examples in the slideshow. This spring, Royal is going on a field trip to Chewonki and Wiscasset. It is an overnight trip that costs $100 per student. Royal goes on this field trip every other year. Last year, the Moose team actually went on the field trip, and I asked students what they thought of the field trip, and they said it was fun and different. Royal has been fundraising for this field trip by selling popcorn and coffee. The popcorn was a major success, and the coffee fundraiser hopes to do the same. So be on the lookout.
This month, the world language I'll be covering is Spanish. In Spanish, students have been learning about Dia de los Muertos, an important Mexican holiday on November 2nd. Students have completed cultural reading assignments about important Mexican icons that include Frida Kahlo, the Exolo dog breed, and Albrejillas. This unit will culminate in watching the popular Pixar movie Coco and completing writing assignments based on student learning.
So for sports, this year in the middle school, the fall athletics had very successful seasons. The boys cross country, girls cross country, and the girls soccer all won championships. Next year, I'm sure all 3 teams will look forward to defending their titles. Field hockey and boys soccer were also runners-up. Basketball tryouts started this week for the girls and boys teams. Today, the players found out the result of which team they made, and full team practices will start tomorrow. The ski team will begin in the upcoming months as they wait for the weather conditions to be right. Marina Cook is extremely fortunate to have such dedicated coaches for our middle school teams.
In the music ensembles, chamber choir has been focusing, they've all been practicing for the winter concert. The chamber choir has been working on body percussion and choreography to spice up or a cappella tunes. In concert choir, students have been working on the fundamentals of singing with a focus on opening their mouths, increase volume, and improve direction. And have been doing a good job of singing a 3-part harmony. In the upgrades band, the 7th and 8th grade band, the musicians are doing a great job of reading music and playing it on their instruments. While their music seemed difficult at first, they have learned from it and it is getting easier every time we rehearse. The recruits band, the 6th grade band, these students are either new to music or new to their instrument. There's a great mix of 6th graders just starting and 7th and 8th graders learning a second instrument. 6 students are auditioning for the District 3 Honors Festival this Thursday. They've been working on scales, sight, singing, and memorizing an art piece for their auditions. We hope to have auditions results before the Thanksgiving break. In general music, students are trying out guitar and piano in the next 2 weeks. They will know the fundamentals of both instruments and can decide to learn one for the rest of the semester.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. That was awesome. I do have a question though. How many eggs were broken? You said there was an egg drop. Or did you have to clean it? Well, thank you guys. That was awesome. A lot of great things happening. And I had a lot of that popcorn. I still got to deliver some, so sorry for anyone who's listening who I haven't delivered. Next up is citizens' comments. Okay, we have none.
Diane, do you have anybody
Oh,
online?
online, yeah.
Sorry.
No, thanks for reminding me. All right, seeing none online or none here, we'll move on. Additions, adjustments to the agenda by the Board of Superintendent.
I do not have any tonight.
Anybody else? All right. We will move on to celebrations.
Let's see, I believe Mr. Soroyce is going to go first today.
Good evening. I have a couple celebrations that all took place actually last week. First of which I would just like to, and I'm glad that Mr. Holman is here, recognize that during our community cafe where they meet up on that stage, Happened to fall on Halloween Day, so we took advantage of the opportunity, and Mr. Holman had the great idea that we should ask our members of the community cafe to judge the Halloween costume contest. And I honestly think that they had much more fun than the kids that were dressing up. So that was one celebration that I had. Just, it's really nice to be engaged with the community, bring them into the school and have them see, you know, some of the things that we try to create opportunities for the kids around. The other thing is a big celebration. Miss Bonavie, after we had restructured the alternative education program, decided to have a service learning class this year. And she had her students do a research project on food insecurity in the state of Maine. And after they did some research on it, challenged them, what can we do to make a difference? And the students came up with a penny drive idea. Those that are not familiar with a penny drive, it's a competitive kind of spirit for the greater good, where there were 4 jars, large jars sitting out in the front office for each of our academic teams, Katahdin, Royal, Moose, and Acadia. And then we had one called Awesome People, because there are some staff that don't fall under one of those umbrellas, so we wanted to be a part of it. And 1 penny dropped into one of those is 1 positive point. Silver and paper money are negative points, so $1 is negative 100 points. Whoever finishes the week with the highest number of points, which are all in the negatives, to be honest, but they won an opportunity for a free fun period with admin helping supervise that. I believe the Moose team won that, is that correct? Moose team won that. But the big winners are the folks in the food pantry. Through this penny drive, these kids raised $1,282.62. That's a lot of pennies and other monies, but I mean, just a terrific support for those in need in our community. And just so you're all aware, the high school and the middle school are both running a food drive throughout the week. You can see what we've collected so far. Again, members of Miss Bonavie's service learning program have been going to each advisory room's door at the end of advisory time, collecting the food items and displaying it, so that while kids have lunch in the cafeteria here, they can see that even though, you know, they may have contributed a little bit, altogether we can make a big difference. So, thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Michelle Hood, would you like to go next? We have a couple tonight, which is nice.
Hi. So we had a couple of teachers from Mount Vernon Elementary were sent down to Savannah, Georgia to go to the National Family Engagement Summit. Now, family engagement is one of our goals that we're working on at Mount Vernon Elementary. They spent a few days down there attending many different classes, and when they came back, they presented to our entire staff at a staff meeting a slideshow with many different ideas that we plan on implementing some and researching further to help with family engagement. Along those lines, we are having a Eat with Your Loved One for Thanksgiving on November 14th. And I'm happy to report we have 70 individuals coming to eat with their loved one during our Thanksgiving luncheon. So that is yet to happen on the 14th, but we're excited to be welcoming more families to our school. So we have a couple of exciting things that have been happening. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Michelle. Michelle LaForge couldn't be here tonight, and Cal Dorman, the assistant principal, is down at the girls' regional soccer playoff game down at Edward Little High School. So they asked if I would share just a couple of things real quick. The first one is that the Maranacook Community High School volunteer team has qualified for the second year in a row for the high school quiz show. So there's more information coming on the taping and airing of that episode shortly. Also wanted to announce that the Capital Area Technical Center October Professional of the Month is from Maranacook Community High School, and that's Josh Adams. He is part of the Machine Tool Technology Program And there'll be, if they do it like they've done it in the past, there'll be a little video posted shortly, just kind of recognizing him for that achievement. I mentioned the girls soccer team at regional playoffs tonight. And of course, I think everyone has heard at this point, but the golf team won the Class C state championship for the second time in 3 years. Coach Meserve is here, so just wanted to recognize that as well. We will do a formal recognition with them coming up later in the month. So, but Michelle asked that I share that with the board. So lots of good things happening.
That is awesome. Great stuff. And if they want to give some golf lessons, I can use them for my, if they want to do some fundraising. So next up, reports. I believe, Mr. Holman, you're here to report for the association tonight?
Yes, I am, and I didn't realize the novelty of that when I volunteered. That is being the new person gullibility, but I'm glad to be here. For the board report, I will not read it to you. You have it, it's brief. It talks about the hopes to all kinds of different celebrations, and it's listed out there. And we would love, as we're looking at this for the next board report, talking about it in more detail, but along with the celebrations, like Rick talked about with the community cafe and Halloween, we also did the same week at the high school and middle school, the mock elections, which at the middle school level, we counted on volunteers, including several school board members, high school students, and other parents. And we're really hoping to see that as much as possible and really reach out to get community members in and board members in particularly, and knowing for some of you it would need to be virtual to do that, but into all our schools, just an opportunity. For the board report, one of the things that you'll see there is the discussion of sub-coverage. This is an issue at all districts, it seems. It is better than last year in some ways. At the middle school and high school, it's still very much an issue. We have a concern that people are working so hard to take care of it with ed techs moving around that the difficulty may not be fully recognized because people are doing such a good job of being so flexible, but those ed techs come at a cost from somewhere else. We're really hoping the negotiations for memorandum of understanding, as was in the past, can be there, thinking that if it's in place, it can be not needed. It's just like a fire extinguisher, good thing to have there. But if it is needed, it's good to have in place. And the negatives for morale of people being forced in other people's spots is really, we'd love to see that. We're really hoping to see that fixed. That's all for this. But I want to mention again, like Rick talked about the cafe, really to find ways, the union is looking to get ways to get school boards more involved in volunteering or into classrooms and creative ways to do that. And we really welcome seeing that happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions on any of the other reports? Do you, Wendy, go ahead.
I don't have a question, but I would like to report for policy.
Oh, yes.
If that's okay.
Yep.
If you have your packets, everybody, I would like you to find page 25 of 71. We have policy BEDB, school board meetings and agendas, and we put in the current policy, we put in the MSMA sample policy. And we, as the policy committee, wanted to ask the full board if we should add this paragraph, page 25, starting with any board member who wishes to add an item to the agenda may offer a motion to that effect. Such a motion shall require a second to proceed to a vote. The item should be within the scope of the board's duties, timely, and appropriate for consideration under all applicable laws and board policies. All additions to the agenda must be approved by a majority or a two-third vote of the members presenting and voting. We felt having a process in place might be a good idea for our board, but we wanted to ask the full board how you feel about this addition before we would propose any changes. So when we would come to the part in our agendas where the chair would ask, are there any adjustments to the agenda by any board members? If someone wants to make an adjustment or wants to bring something forward to the board, there would be a motion and a second and then a vote. This is what MSMA has suggested. And it's up to the board. Right now, we don't. If we have something we want to bring up, we can bring it up as school board on the board to add to the agenda, and then we usually say, hey, we can add it at a different time, and there's no vote or anything. So that's why we're bringing it forward, to hear what the whole board would be interested in adding this as a process, or just keep it like it is. Does anyone have any?
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Has there been any issues with the way it's being done now, or
Well,
is it just the difference in the policy that you guys noticed?
It's the big difference. Apparently, it used to be this way, where we would have a two-third vote if anyone on the board would bring up something. So there's no surprises, or the meetings don't get extended, and the whole board could weigh in whether they want to discuss this topic. If this is just bringing something in out of the blue by a board member, there would be a vote if we wanted to pursue that with the agenda, versus what we have now where if we bring it up, we just bring it to the chair. And we haven't had a problem at this board. I'm just saying, it used to be there, and now they're recommending it comes back as a process, because there's been so much, so many, what would you say?
Additions?
With public comments and all kinds, because we have the public comment one that there's an addition in there too that I want to bring up too. So if you're fine leaving it as we have it, that's totally fine with us. We just wanted to bring it to the full board if you want to vote. Dave?
So on this, it looks like it says majority or two-thirds.
We would decide
Yeah.
which. If you want to do a vote, we could decide either majority or two-thirds. We could decide that after we decide if we want to do a vote. Yes.
I like the way we have it now. I don't feel like there's ever been a problem. So, you know, it's not broken, don't fix it, I guess. It feels nice and open and, you know.
Oh, go ahead.
I would kind of agree with that, because I think the way I remember it being done in the past is everyone kind of gives a thumbs up if we can add it to the agenda, so I'm not sure I'm for it, but if people feel strongly that it needs to happen, then I could be swayed.
Okay.
I was further, I'm not sure how I would want it, but to have that in place allows for bringing something up that a board member feels is important, but may not have been supported by the chair or the super or someone to get it in there. A way to bring it up, but still it needs to be a decision of the group, and it gives it a format of how that should be done without getting into a big battle.
That's what we thought, so there's no big surprises where we're not prepared to have a discussion or talk about it, and if one, not saying anyone on our board, but in the future or something, we would have the process in place, but that's why we brought it to everybody. Jay, do you have a preference or anything?
It's what the board wants to do with this. I can go either way, but I think it's the board that's got to make that decision
Yeah.
in the long run, so.
I just wanted to kind of add, I was kind of in favor of bringing it to the whole board, A, so that we could all get feedback, but B, I think there has been an uptick in controversial issues, not within our board, but at other boards. And I think this just gives us a way to kind of preempt some controversy and have a formal process in place, so that we can, if a board member wants to bring something and the chair and the superintendent disagree on that subject, a board member can still bring it with a full vote. But it also just gives us some formality in that process.
Patricia?
Are you suggesting it for the public too?
No, this is just for us. This is just for the board, when a board member brings it forward.
Right, I understand that, but I'm wondering, you said that you were gonna add something.
Oh,
We
that's
have
for a
another
different policy. That's another policy.
Okay.
That's in the packet.
Well, I'm just wondering, if you do it for the public, maybe we should do it for ourselves.
Oh, it's a different.
Okay.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
No, it's a different,
No, that's a totally different, yeah.
Christine, go ahead.
So is it now the case that if we wanted to bring something, I mean, I've never added anything to the agenda, and I don't recall any board members adding something to the agenda. Is it now the case where we would need to ask about that in advance and get that approved by the superintendent or chair? I thought we could just kind of add
If
things.
you know you want to bring something forward, you can definitely contact the chair or the superintendent. Was it 3 days?
10 days.
10 days before the meeting,
10 days in advance.
10 days in advance, and get it put on the agenda. But if something happens and someone feels really strongly they want to bring something up, like we said, this is more for statewide. They're recommending this because of other boards, not because of our board. So we definitely don't have to take this process on at all. Because I don't think we have a problem with it right now, but it would be a process just in case.
So if we, thank you for answering that. I just have one more quick follow-up question so I fully understand. Thank you. So there's a time, like at the beginning of the meetings, Sean will say, does anybody have anything they want to add to the agenda? We're able to say at that point, oh, there's something, right? So,
Yes.
okay. So, I mean, yeah.
And
I
we don't
think
have a
we
vote.
need
This
it,
would just
but
be a
yeah.
vote right after.
And per the policy, I'm not 100% sure that we can. I think Sean and Jay can add to the meeting agenda during that time, but I don't think a regular board member can.
But we can add, I mean, that's what
We
we
can
said.
ask, but it would be put
Yeah.
onto the next agenda.
Yeah.
This would allow it to come to the floor on that specific agenda. Because under current policy, you need to ask 10 days in advance.
But since there's an agenda item on the agenda that calls for additions and adjustments, wouldn't it be appropriate to add something at that time?
Not per our policy, it would be.
Right now, it's just for the, well, it says agenda by board.
Yeah,
But in the policy, it says it's gotta be 10 days in advance.
But is that for the public?
but that's
that's
just
just
for,
Hold on. Go ahead. Keep talking,
Is
one at
it
a
not
time.
just for the public? Because that's what is put out here on the bottom. It says, any citizen who wishes to add an item to the agenda may do so by notifying the board or the superintendent in writing 10 days prior to the board's next meeting. I think the 10-day
Yeah.
may be directed at citizens.
Yes,
And the agenda item that we usually hear, which is where Jay might say, hey, in addition to, this will be J I-6 or something.
Yes.
We'll be adding something that's just didn't make it on the preprint of the agenda for meeting. So I'm hearing you guys say that in the additions, adjustments by board and or superintendent, if a board member wants to bring something forward, it just allows us all to go, can we take a quick vote on what we discussed this now, and we add it? And we
Yes.
take the vote, and
That's
then
all
we
it
move
is.
forward. Because statewide, there is some concerns,
yes,
and this is a way that they're trying to help.
yes,
To say this is a recommendation if you want to try to frame and put boundaries.
yes. So there's no surprises, or we're not prepared to discuss something.
I mean, my thought is we leave it the way it is. And if we don't have the information, don't have the, Jay or myself or someone on the board doesn't have the information, we can table it and put it on the next agenda. Because sometimes things need to be addressed quickly I don't think we need to start it out having it be if we can address it, we address it. I think everyone on the board's pretty courteous, and I think it should be kind of an open forum and not, can Sean have the right, can I have the right to talk, and it's a vote. Like, I think that, I don't see it being an issue.
Okay,
That's my thoughts for now. So my thoughts is to kind of wrap this up is, I think a lot of people have had a chance to talk. If you have further ideas, I'm thinking, why don't you email them to Wendy and Jay, and we can go from there. But I think the more, and there has been times since I've been on the board, I don't know if I was chair or not, because everything kind of lumps together, where people were like, hey, I want to talk about this item tonight, can I add it? And the superintendent's been like, we can talk about it, but I have no information on that. Like, I need to get back to you. And I think 9 times out of, well, probably almost 10 times out of 10, people are like, well, let's just get it on the next agenda.
okay, that's totally fine. The next thing we have to look at really quickly is policy BEDH. This,
Where's that one?
it is page 29 of 71. And number 1 was not adjusted. We will give this to the whole board next week, and number 1 will be corrected. But I'm going to read you very quickly what it's supposed to say. The board will include a public comment period. After 30 minutes, the board chair may, at the, what was that word?
Their discretion.
At their discretion, curtail further public comment. They will direct those still wishing to comment to attend the next meeting or submit comments in writing to the board. So that's what number 1 is supposed to say. It wasn't updated when it was sent out. So the board will include public comment period, but after 30 minutes, the board chair may elect to curtail further public comments, basically keeping the whole of public comments to 30 minutes.
Okay.
The rationale was behind that, if it was a hot button issue and we wanted to keep talking about it, we didn't have a hard 30-minute cap. But if it was just kind of droning on, we had the ability to we could stop it and give a little bit more flexibility in the policy.
Gotcha.
And that is in there, it's just was written differently. We rewrote it just a little bit to make it
So
clear. It will be in the next.
these are all first readings, right?
These are first reads.
Yeah,
It'll be in
gotcha.
the second read.
This one here, I need a little more time to process. Could you send that new, or will it be in the?
Yes,
yeah,
we
can
can
you send that around?
get it fixed and we will send it out to everybody. How about that?
So as always, any of these first readings, if you have issues,
Any-
questions, concerns,
Yeah, please reach out.
please reach out.
Answer your questions.
There's
Thank
some-
you so much, everybody.
Yes, no, thank you for explaining that. There's, seems to be a lot of kind of changes there.
No, but I just want to say, I appreciate both of you bringing it to say where the discussion came from and what it potentially offers, even if as our existing board, we don't feel like it's something that we need. It's a really great explanation to bring to us for these types of things. I appreciate it.
Well, when the state brings recommendations to us, we take it very seriously, and that's why we wanted to bring it to the whole board. So,
And
thank
they're
you.
not bad ideas. I don't, from a process and a
Exactly.
boundary and guide, but at the same time, I agree.
We don't really need it.
need that at this point. We can always
Okay.
make a motion.
Thank you.
I think we're, go ahead.
I just have one change to the personnel minutes. I wasn't at that October 21st meeting, and it's saying that I was present, so that's why, you know, take my name off.
Anything else do we have in those items? All right, thank you, everybody. Next up is the action items, discussion and informational items, approval of minutes of October 2nd, 2024, special board meeting.
Move to approve the minutes of the October 22nd, 2024 special board meeting as read.
Second.
Haven't been moved and seconded, discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call for a vote.
You can do a show of hands.
All those in favor? All right, abstentions? Oh, I'm sorry? Yep, passes. Okay, approval of minutes of October 2nd, 2024, regular board meeting.
I move to approve the minutes of the October 2nd, 2024 regular board meeting as read.
Second.
Haven't been moved and seconded, discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? All right. All those opposed? Abstentions? Passes with 2 abstentions. All right, approval of minutes of October 16th, 2024 board meeting.
I move to accept the minutes of the October 16th, 2024 regular board meeting as read.
Second.
Haven't been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Abstain? I abstain. So passes. All right, next up, acceptance of donations.
I move that we accept the donations as presented.
Second.
All right, and then moved and seconded. All those, discussion, there we go. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Thank you. Thank you, everyone who's in favor. Passes. All right. Acceptance of middle school teacher resignation effective immediately.
Siobhan.
Siobhan, Susie.
I move that we accept the resignation of middle school teacher effective immediately.
Second.
All right, having been moved and seconded, discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Passes unanimously. All right, policy second readings.
I move to adopt policies AC, ACAA, ACAB, JFABD, JIE as read.
Second.
Haven't been moved and seconded, discussion? Go ahead.
So I was looking at the pregnant students policy, and so I did a little research and saw that it was recommended from MSMA. And I guess I just have an issue with the name of the policy, because then I was looking and it says, for the purposes of this policy, pregnancy or related conditions, and includes lactation, but then at the end, or in reasonable modifications, it says breaks during class to express breast milk and breastfeed. But pregnant students, to me, just means pregnant students and they wouldn't be lactating while they're pregnant. It'd be after they have the baby. So it just feels like it doesn't reflect the policy that it is. You know what I mean?
Yep. Jay, you want to ask to speak?
Okay, lactation is part of pregnancy, and we have to be able to accommodate any student that has just had a baby and is breastfeeding. So that's how it's connected. I know it's a little kind of odd the way it's worded together, but that's what we were told. It's like, it's part of pregnancy. So, you know, it's like post-pregnancy, and through Title I, we have to have
Is there any way we
accommodations that
could
allow
change
that.
the title of it to something else?
That's up to you guys.
Because
so, yeah.
I don't like it. Pregnancy and postpartum, yeah?
Yeah, to further explain, yeah.
Pregnancy and postpartum policy, maybe?
Yeah.
It looks awful to me.
That's fine with me. I
Fine
take
with
that
us?
as a friendly amendment.
Yeah.
We can amend it, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions, comments about any of the other policies? Seeing none, call for a vote.
I just wanted to
Oh,
ask.
Tyler, go ahead.
Just so everybody's aware, these policies were updated to bring us into accordance with DOE policy. That's why they were updated again.
Gotcha. Thanks for that information. David, go ahead.
Question may just be needless complication. Should there be any allowance for a male parent that, like with, in employment, the, a male parent that's doing parenting needs to have allowances made for him? Is there a place in there where that could or should be included?
I just,
Christine,
sorry,
don't.
Jay pointed to me,
No,
so.
no, you're fine.
I think that's, I was thinking the same thing, just wondering if it was appropriate to add reasonable accommodations for male students who need to support, I don't know, but I was thinking the same thing, and this would be one of those times where I don't know enough to say anything more about that.
I don't know how this works in the amendment change, and I should know because I'm the chair. I'm gonna recommend, so we're not wordsmithing tonight, that we send that policy back to the policy committee
You can do that.
and have them wordsmith that and work with our health center director to make sure we're doing it correctly with any resources that she may have. I know I'm putting her on the spot, but I just happen to see her, so.
All right,
Thanks for
you want me to rescind the motion to read?
Yes, please.
All right. I move to adopt the following policies as read: AC, ACAA, ACAB, JFABD.
Second.
Haven't been moved and seconded. Any discussion, any further discussion? No further discussion, call for a vote. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, now we're down to G, consideration of Capital Area Technical Center CATC Cooperative Agreement.
I move to adopt the Capital Area Technical Center Agreement as read.
Second.
Haven't been moved in second, any discussion? Is there any changes or anything?
There are absolutely no changes, and I can get copies if you are interested in Marana Cook's students who are enrolled in programs this year. Just let me know. I have all the information from the last CATC meeting. Just reach out and I can send it off to you. Just wanted to offer that to the board if anyone's interested. Okay.
Yeah, that would be great. I would like to have, if you could email that around to
Yes,
everybody.
okay.
I think it would
Yep,
be
I'll
helpful.
scan it and send it out to everybody then. Yeah.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Unanimous. It's a wonderful opportunity. I actually visited it not too long ago for some other stuff I was doing, and it's pretty amazing what those students are doing. Consideration of out-of-state travel, Mount Vernon Elementary, 5th grade, Boston, Massachusetts, 6/5/2025.
I move to approve out-of-state travel for Mount Vernon Elementary School, grade 5 to Boston, Massachusetts as read.
Second.
Haven't been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, looks like a pretty cool field trip. I always enjoyed, well, I guess I have a little bit. Enjoyed going to the Museum of Science, pretty fun. I went last year with my daughter. She loves STEM, so it's a fun place. So thank you for everyone who's passed it along that have taken these kids, because I think anytime they can get over the bridge in Maine, it's amazing. All right, call for a vote. Yep, yeah. Passes unanimously. I was like, Brian, what? You don't want kids learning about STEM or what? I know, I'm sucking. Consideration of request to extend snow plowing salting contracts for 2 years with Cushing.
Is more, I move to extend snowplow contracts for a 2-year period from November 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2027 to Cushing Construction, Brown Construction, and Quiet Harbor Builders as recommended by the Facilities and Transportation Committees. The amounts listed above.
Second.
Haven't been moved and seconded, discussion? I have a question.
Of course.
I didn't read this, I will fully admit. So we're just extending this?
Yes.
It's not put out to bid?
The prices stayed the same, so we didn't put it out to bid because they agreed to just keep the same prices for the next 2 years. So,
That's, okay, fair enough. All right, any other questions? Seeing no other questions, call for a vote. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. All right. MSMA Fall Conference Reports from Board Attendees.
So we had 6 different people that went, and what we did is we asked each one of those 6 people to just give a quick highlight on one of the sessions they attended. There was multiple sessions, but just to give you guys a flavor of kind of what was learned and what was discussed. So if it's okay, I actually wrote it down, so I'll just run through the list just to keep us on track. So Pat, do you mind going first? I know you were going to talk about the changes in age requirements for special education duties.
Yes, they talked about mostly the preschool, the ages 3 and 4, how this is going to change. The legislature passed the law very late in the session about adding the school kids who were 3 and 4 years old to the school age population for the public schools. And this has come as a surprise to some people, and they were trying to talk about what is going to be required. And what is going to be required is that you're dealing with a whole different population. And so that the certification, there has to be a different certification for kids who are 3 and 4 years old. So it's a complex matter, and it's probably good that we're not jumping in head first. Some teachers already have both certifications. I mean, I used to, so it might, and it's good to take a while to actually plan it out because it is more complex than I think some people realize.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Pat. Wendy, can we go to you next?
Yes. I am talking about Maine Loves Public Schools, and this workshop was all about how schools can get out the positive news to the community about the wonderful things going on. Because social media can be a negative place and constantly updating content can be tedious, the DOE set up its own website to help get the word out about the awesome things happening in schools across the state. Go to www.mainelovespublicschools.org, and any educator can become a storytelling ambassador. The website accepts photos, videos, and podcasts of educator-submitted content. This is a safe space to spread ideas and even professional development ideas. And also I got 8 posters that have the information on them for the teachers to submit classroom stories directly to the site. So I understand they're hanging in the teacher's lounge. So any teacher that has a great story can upload it right to the DOE website. So thank you.
It's awesome.
Thanks, Wendy. Leslie, do you mind going next?
Sure. Was I next on the list, Jay?
Yes.
Or was I last on the list, Jay? I remember the list, Jay.
Would you like me to shuffle the list?
Nope, we're good. So our keynote speaker for the 2 days, his name was Weston Kieschnick, and he's a teacher from Colorado who's had a lot of experience in not just Colorado, but has taught in Jamaica, has taught in many different places around the country. But he currently is also a published author, has TED Talks around the necessity of reinvigorating engagement in classrooms so that kids remember a much larger amount of the quantity of content that you're hoping they walk away with. There is a good TED Talk on YouTube
that's about 16 minutes, and it goes through very quickly, but also in a very engaging way, some of exactly the same speech that we heard, by the way, which was still good. He did it good every time, I guess. But I mean, he had this whole room, very engaged. Eyes on me was used very often, but it was also very effective. But he was saying kids can't come into classrooms bored, and they definitely cannot leave classrooms feeling failure, or they will forget everything in between. So Amazon carries books. The TED Talk is the secret to being an amazing teacher. And again, it's only 16 minutes. Like, you won't regret it. And he puts the things up and walks through his ATLAS acronym about ways to do that, and how it's a very formulaic, engagement is very formulaic, and that when you fear whether you have creative tendencies or you don't have creative tendencies, there really isn't the necessity to be creative as much as follow and have a plan and figure out how to plug in. It's just that creative people maybe do it a little bit better or a little bit different, but it's not as complicated. So trying to think of really sort of bringing that back to the forefront, and it was a very powerful couple of hours, but again, 16 minutes, YouTube.
So, thank you.
Eats a whole banana, 7 seconds.
Rebecca, you get to follow that up.
Hope it was engaging.
I went to, one of the ones was walking the tightrope, boards, complaints, and employment issues. I know we have all had lots of questions about the laws recently pertaining to some of that, so I have a handout here that Jay said Donna would be happy to scan and send to everyone. That is the particular laws that we would be interested in knowing about.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Mandy, I'll invite you up to the podium for yours.
Love being at the podium. So one of the ones that I went to was Comprehensive Approach to School Budgets. It was by a superintendent out of York. And some of the key takeaways that I had was for everyone to know and understand what our challenges are when putting together the budget, establishing a student-first approach, and always keeping that at the forefront when making decisions. Utilizing precision staffing, so running courses that are low participation on a rotating schedule. So maybe a particular high school course runs every 3 years as opposed to every year if you have low attendance. And really having a hard no less than 10 students per course. Looking at ways to share services amongst other districts. I know this year one of our struggles has been the ESOL teacher. And so, there's been talk about whether or not other districts are having that same struggle, and whether or not between maybe multi-districts that we could share one or employ one ESOL teacher. So I know that's one of the things that's been on the forefront for us. Involving the principals and developing a plan, listening to feedback and let them wrestle with some of the trade-offs in what comes in the budget, what stays in the budget, and what needs to be cut from the budget. And then the last thing was acknowledging the cost of living, understanding that some of these increases are completely out of our control, and just realizing that they have to be part of the budget, whether we like it or not.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mandy. The one that I'll just quickly report on is I went, actually several of us went to the Community Ability to Pay for Education preliminary results. As you probably remember, last spring, the legislature commissioned a study of the essential programs and services funding system or funding model that they currently use. The Maine Educational Policy Research Institute has been exploring property values related to other measures of community wealth, including things like household income. One of the reasons why I went after Mandy was because it kind of ties into what they were doing. So they shared a few results with us, whereas they put up on the screen some funding based on two towns side by side with each other, and kind of looked at the idea that right now it's pretty much property valuation and student count. So they were kind of trying to wrestle with that, and then we started to, they opened the conversation up to Like, does this look fair? You know, knowing that those are just examples and nothing's, you know, set in stone or anything, but here are examples. And what do you think? Does this look fair to you? So it really was a conversation about, does it look fair? And of course, the situation, or not situation, the conversation kind of went sideways because there was many superintendents that kept saying, we get property valuation and we get student count, but it feels like there needs to be a third leg here, so to speak, around those property values. So like, how many towns don't have businesses? They're just, you know, like bedroom communities, there's no businesses there. Or if you have lakefront property, like all 4 of our towns have lakefront property. So again, that drives up property valuations. So we ended up talking a lot about like different situations and how can that be folded into the study going forward. It was a really interesting conversation, and it was very clear to me that across the state, everyone's kind of dealing with this. So they are going to be putting out a more formal report to the legislature, I believe in the spring. And if there are any changes to the funding formula, those would probably take place in the, I believe it was 26-27 school year. So it's still a couple of years away if there's a change, and there's no guarantee there will be a change. So, so it was interesting to listen to what they had found and to kind of work through those examples. So, so I'll stop there. And Karen, you've got the last one.
Yes, so I went to a session on how AI was used to create, to help with the strategic planning process for MSAD 11, which is Gardner Area Schools. The director of curriculum and superintendent partnered with Jennifer Chase, who's the executive director of School Source, and she's also the assistant director of Maine Educational Research and Policy Institute at USM. And so what they did is they used AI. They had MIT had created this AI called Fora, I believe, and to help with analyzing focus group discussions with community members, teachers, parents, families, school board members. And so they were able to use the AI to organize audio of these discussions. It was really, they emphasized the importance of having every voice counted in that. And so they finally were able to collapse it down to like 4 major themes that helped drive their strategic planning process. It was a 3-year process. Jay attended, Leslie attended, and Rebecca attended, and it was one thing that we had said, like, you know, if we could do that in a little less time, and the presenter did say that, you know, there's other ways that you can approach it. But developing its strategic plan in this way was special because it combined, obviously, modern technology with genuine human conversations, while the AI helped analyze the discussions. Real people, students, parents, teachers, community members drove the conversations and made the decisions. The result is their strategic plan that truly represents what their community wants for their schools, while also connecting to the broader conversations about the future of education across Maine. So I think their model really enhanced community engagement in the process, and other school districts could look to create strategic plans that reflect their community's voices in the same way. So, and I did come up with a little handout, and maybe Donna could photocopy that. And give a little more information.
And I just, actually the last thing I just want to point out that's in your board packet on page 61, I hope I'm getting the right number. Wendy was kind enough to write up a little summary of the board delegate assembly, and we included the resolutions there as well. So Wendy, I don't know if you want to speak about it at all, or I don't mean to put you on the spot, but that was just kind of the last piece that I wanted to.
Yeah, it was all in your packet. If you have any questions, please ask me about it. It was on Zoom on Saturday, October 19th, and,
And it was 4 hours. She
4
said
hours.
4 hours.
Thank you.
She's being conservative because I heard it was closer to 4.5 hours straight on Zoom. So Wendy was a trooper for us, that's for sure.
No, thank you. All right. A lot of great stuff to look at, learn more about. Adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.